So yesterday we started with the Minikube installation. So anybody tried Minikube installation or still you have to do? Anybody have you tried Minikube installation or still you have to do? Not yet. Okay. Okay, so we are going to continue on that topic only on Minikube itself. So let's see. So this was the Minikube which we installed by following this documentation. Okay. And in this, if you remember, to communicate to this, we are using the CMD. Okay. And in the CMD, we had so many commands. Like if I want to start this minikube, so for that we have a command called minikube start. Okay, and it will start the minikube. Okay, and see, it is going to start the minikube. Again, it will take time, around 1 to 2 minutes time to start the minikube. Okay, just you have to simply wait for that. Once the minikube will be started, automatically it will say that everything is configured. Okay, then only you can proceed with other steps. So let's wait for that. So meanwhile, if you'll try to see whatever the things we done yesterday, okay. So let me show you from started. Yesterday, the first thing we done was the installation of Minikube over the Windows. Okay. Once we installed the Minikube, then to check whether Minikube is successfully installed or not. Okay. What we did, we came to the CMD and simply hit this command Minikube version. If you are getting some output like this, that means our Minikube is installed. Once the Minikube is installed, then what we done was, and also before installing the Minikube, make sure Oracle VirtualBox is installed in your machine, like this one, Oracle VM VirtualBox. Okay, that also it is written in the starting part of the document only. So that is the prerequisite. Then once the Minikube is installed, so you have to simply say Minikube, you have to start, okay, and you have to use the driver called VirtualBox, okay, because our Minikube is going to run on top of VirtualBox, that's why. And there is no VTS check. Some of the laptop, they don't give any basically you can say virtual hardware permission something. So that's why we are adding this option -- no VTS check. And after some time, it will take around times depending on your internet speed because they have to download 2 files from the internet. One file size is 405 MB and other size file is around 300 or 400 something MB like that. Okay. And once both the file will be downloaded, then at last you will see that it will show you this type of the thing that then kubectl is now configured to use minikube cluster. Once you are seeing this, that means your minikube is successfully installed. Okay. And if you will do the command like minikube status, so you'll see that running configured will come. That means your minikube is set up and it is running perfectly fine. Once the minikube is running, then to communicate to the Kubernetes cluster, we will require a kubectl command. Okay, kubectl or kubectl, whatever you want to say. Okay. But when you will try to hit the command called kubectl in your CMD, it is not going to work. So for that, you have to follow this document and you have to download the kubectl software. Once you download the kubectl software, so it will be downloaded in some download folder or something. So you have to simply copy this file, okay, and you have to paste this file in the .minikube location, okay, in the .minikube location. So whenever you will be installing the minikube will be going to install by default in the C drive in the user section. So you have to go inside that directory .minikube and you have to simply paste that kubectl file, whatever you downloaded there. Once you paste it here, then you have to search for the environment variable, okay. In the environment variable, like you'll be searching something like this environment variable. So you'll get this page, you have to simply open it. Okay. Once you'll open this, you have to go to this environment variable here. Then you have to come here in the downside system variable path option, click on this, click on edit. Okay. And once you click on edit, simply click on new and add the path here. In your case, maybe this path will be going to be different. In my case, it is C drive inside users inside my username. This is my username of my laptop. Okay. In your case, whatever the username of your laptop that will be there and /.minikube. Okay. And if you don't want to type it directly, so you can simply come here. Okay. And you will be going inside the C drive, something like this, or in the users. Okay. This is my username. In your case, it can be different. And simply come to this minikube and Click here and you'll see this exact path. Simply copy this and paste it there. That's all. Once you'll done this, then you'll see that kubectl command will be start working. And once you'll hit this command, you'll see the start of the answer. That means currently there is no pod running. Okay. Similarly, if you want to see the dashboard of the Kubernetes cluster, okay, so you have to simply say my minikube dashboard, and automatically a new page is going to open in your default browser, and it will look like this. Okay. Similarly, I showed you that 3 different things yesterday, that how to create a pod, how to create a deployment, and how to create a service. Okay. And after creating the service, at last, if you remember, when I was refreshing the page, it was transferring the traffic as exactly load balancer was doing. Okay. And second thing, scaling the deployment like up to 5 port, 10 ports, 15 port was much easier as compared to the Docker in case of the Kubernetes. So these are all things we saw. Let me check whether it is started. Yeah. So now see this minikube is started meanwhile. Now if I'll say that whatever the things we started yesterday, so if we'll try to see, so simply hit the command minikube dashboard. It is going to open again the dashboard. Okay, so see automatically this page is getting open. And here we are seeing that one deployment that yesterday we created. That deployment is running 4 pods. Okay, so if you'll see, this is the deployment yesterday which we created. Okay, deployment name was Mighty, and we used this image. Okay, this deployment was running the 4 pods, and that's why I see these 4 pods are visual here. Okay, and I shown you that if any pod is going to be deleted, this deployment is going to create this pods again. Okay, so these all things we saw yesterday. So anybody have any question up to here? Whatever we explained. Yeah, Nikhil.
Just wanted to ask you, this is regarding the Minikube, but you said Kubernetes is a little bit complicated to install on AWS. So is it the same, I mean, not the installation, but is it the same sort of terminology, how Kubernetes will work in AWS environment controlling Docker?
Yeah,
Containers?
terminology will be exactly same. Commands, whatever you are using, kubectl get pods, kubectl create deployment, everything is going to be same. Okay, but in the AWS, we get only T2.micro EC2 instances as free tier, right? So that is only one CPU. But I shown you in the starting itself, Kubernetes or Minikube requires at least 2 CPU and 4 GB RAM something resources. So if you go for that, you have to pay some charges to the AWS. Okay. So that's why we are doing it on the locals. But all the commands related to the kubectl, everything is going to this. Okay. So now, if I want to delete whatever the things yesterday we created, and if you remember the services we created also, this was the services we created MyD, and it was running on port 31953. If I want to get the URL for this, so yesterday we hit the command something like this. I'm not going to touch here because if I'll touch it here like control C or something, this entire page will be become unresponsive. Okay, that's why I'm opening one more tab of command prompt, and simply I'm writing here minikube. There is a service with the name Mighty. Can you show me the URL for that? I'll press enter and automatically they are going to give this URL. Copy this URL, paste it in browser, and you will see that your website comes from that container is going to be this one, like this. Okay. So up to here we already saw. Now, if I want to delete all the resources, whatever we created till now, okay. So what we can do is kubectl. What you have to do is you have to delete all resources. --- all. Simply to press enter. See, they are deleting all the pods, they are deleting the service, they are deleting the deployment, they are deleting the replica set. Everything is getting deleted. So you should not use this type of the command in the production environment, where basically they are deleting everything in a single code. But for your practical purpose, whenever you are doing it for the testing everything, and now you want to practice it again, so simply you can hit this command, everything will be cleared. Okay. So if we'll see here, there is no pods, nothing is running. Okay, no deployment is running, everything is deleted. Again, you can start with the process. Now today, what we are going to see is, so let me show you. So this was the command which I shown you. Okay. Now, whatever the pod we are creating currently, we were creating using the commands, right? Kubectl, run, whatever the pod name you want to give, and whatever the image name you want to use. Okay, so this type of the things we were writing. If you remember the Ansible lecture, in the Ansible also we are writing the ad hoc command there, right? But we talked about the YML version also, where we are writing directly the playbook, and playbook was much easier. So similarly, in case of the Kubernetes also, rather than writing the commands every time, you can create a file also to create pod, to create deployment, to create surveys. So how we can do this? So that I'm going to show you. So to create the pod or something with the help of the this type of the YML file. Okay. So why we require this? Let me show you the first thing. So take an example. I am quickly going to start a pod first. Okay. Something like this. Kubectl. You have to run a pod. Okay. Run a pod. Pod name. Take an example. I'm giving as my pod, and I'm using the image again. See. Image name was. Okay. This was our image. So our pod is getting created. If I'll do kubectl, can you give me the pod list? So get pod. So say this pod is running. Okay. Now, if I want to see the details of this pod, okay, or I want to see the description of this pod, so I have to simply say kubectl. Can you describe pod? And what is my pod name? My pod name is my pod. So I'll simply say that kubectl, you have to describe the pod, and pod name is my pod. So see, they are providing us so many information here. If you'll try to read this thing, okay. So they are providing you some information that your pod name is my pod. Okay. It was created during this time. Okay. Then they are saying there is some label assigned to that pod, and label here it is showing as run is equal to my pod. I did not given any run is equal to my pod label or something, right? Automatically they are taking it from this command itself. Okay. Similarly, there are some IP address they assigned to it. Okay. Again, in the container, you will see this is a container. This pod is going to create a container. I said that Kubernetes does not manage the container directly. Kubernetes create the pod. Pod is going to create a container. Similarly, like if I want to manage the pod, I'm not going to directly create the pod. I will create a deployment. Deployment is going to create a pod. So in Kubernetes, for everything, there is a manager there. Okay, like for container, manager is pod. For pod, manager is deployment. Like this way, it goes on. So now, so what is the container name here? So container name is also my pod. See, pod name is also my pod, and container name is also it is showing as my pod. And image, whatever the image we written here, that image they are showing here. Okay. So if I want to do some changes here, like I want to change some different label, I want to give the label like honor is equal to Kishan. Okay. Or take an example, this pod belongs to the DevOps groups. I want to say it like team is equal to DevOps, something like this. So it's totally on me what labels I want to provide to my pod. Okay, because I am the owner of this. Similarly, I want to give something different name to my container. Container name I want to give as my C1, something like this. Okay. How I can do this type of the changes in my pod? Currently, I'm just hitting this command. Kubectl, you have to run the pod. Pod name is my pod, and this is the image. That's all, right? But if I want to do more changes, or I want to create the resources more custom way, okay, where I can edit labels also, where I can edit the container name also, and so many more things, right? So in that type of the things, this type of the command is not going to help you, okay, because in this command you have some limited work only. You can just start the pod with the image name, that's all. Okay, they are not giving you any option to change the container name or something. They are not going to give you any option to add some more labels here. Okay. So rather than using this type of the concept, what we can do is we can go with the YAML format. Okay. Where we'll be creating a file. Okay. Inside that file, we'll write all the information that I want to create a pod. Image of the pod will be this, labels of pod will be this, okay, and container of the pod name will be this. Like this way, we'll provide all the information and we'll simply apply that file and we'll see that our pod is going to be created. So again, let's do CLS. If I do again kubectl get pod, so this pod is running. So simply I'm going to delete this pod. So to delete this pod, anybody remember the command? Can anybody try? Like what command should I write here to delete the pod? now. So take an example. I'm writing here kubectl. You have to delete. Okay. I'm going to delete the pod. That's why I'm writing delete pod. Okay. And what is my pod name? My pod. That's why this is so simple, right? You have to simply say kubectl. I want to delete the pod, and my pod name is my pod. That's all. Press enter. Your pod is going to be deleted. Now I want to create this pod with the help of the YAML. So how we can create it? So again, simply come here and search it in the internet. Like I want to create pod YAML. That's all. Simply search for it. That can I get the pod YAML file? See, they are directly referring you to the Kubernetes official documentation. So simply go there. You will go there in the Kubernetes official documentation. So now this is the pod. Okay. So they are showing that this type of the YML file is there. They given you a simple format for this, like creating a simple pod. Okay, and you can simply copy paste this pod YML and you can edit it as per your own purpose. Okay, so take an example. I'm coming here and I'm creating a folder. So let me do one thing. I'm creating a simply a folder. Folder name I am something giving like cloud 19 creators, something like this. I'm going inside this. Now inside this, simply click here. Okay, and simply click here and remove this and open this in the CMD. So whatever the folder I created, it opened in the CMD directly by typing the CMD here. Currently, there is no any files here. If I do dir, no files present here. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file here. So simply taking example, I'm creating a file with the name notepad, and my file name, let's give it something like this pod.yaml. So see, automatically they are going to create a new file with the name pod.yaml. Simply press yes here. So this type of the file is getting created. Or if you are comfortable with the notepad also, that also you can do. It's totally on you. Okay, whether you are comfortable with the notepad or whether you are comfortable with the notepad plus. Okay, so let me go with the notepad plus only. Maybe in the starting you'll get confused. Let me open the notepad plus. In the notepad already there are so many files, so let me just close all this. And I am going to create or open a folder. And this was the folder which I created. Simply I'm clicking on select folder. So this one is created. This was the pod.yml file. Currently it is empty. Okay. So here I am writing the code. So what code I will be writing inside this pod.yml file? Okay, because I don't know anything about this. So simply I'll copy this. Okay, and I will paste it here in our YAML file. Okay, so simply paste it here. Once you are pasting it, so you saw that there are so many information here. So whatever the information I will require, that only I am going to write it. So take an example, we are saying that we are going to create a pod. That's why kind is equal to pod. What is for this API version? So API version, they are saying that whoever written the Kubernetes cluster, okay, code. So they said that if you want to use pod or something, you have to use API version v1 only. So this is by default, we don't have to do anything here. We are going to create a pod. That's why kind is equal to pod. Metadata is just the information. Okay, like when you click a image from your mobile phone, so it is not like just image got captured. There are so many things getting captured with the along with your image, like what is the aperture of your camera, what is your geolocation, right? What is camera's focal length, like this. So there are so many things comes in the metadata. So like that way in the metadata, I'm saying that our pod name should be taken example, my pod. So that's why I'm giving here my pod. So when you are giving metadata name is equal to my pod, that means whenever they will start the pod name will be my pod. Now, what will be our specification of the pod? So that will come in the specification sector. Now in the specification inside the pod, there will be a container. That's why there is a container here. What is the name of container you want to give? So take an example. I want to give my container name as MySQL, something like this. What is the image you want to use for your container? I always was using this image. So I'm simply writing here, web server cloud9. So image name also I keep it. Again, port you have to mention, you don't have to mention it's totally on it. So let's start mentioning it for now. Okay. And we are missing one thing, that is the labels. So labels also will comes in the metadata itself. Okay, because that is the information here. So simply come here, write here labels. Okay, like this way, and again click enter, give one space, something like this, and whatever the label you want to write, you can write it here. Like in the Ansible also, we are writing this type of the YAML file. So take an example. I want to say that owner of this pod, I am giving the label something like this, something like this. Similarly, take an example. This pod belongs to a team, and team name is DevOps. That also I'm giving. Okay. Take an example, country. I am giving whatever the label you want to do. It can be related to your work project only. So anybody can differentiate that. Okay, this pod belongs to this team or this work, like that. I'm just giving you a random name here. Country. Take an example. I'm giving IN. Okay, IN for India. So I given this type of the labels. Once you created everything, simply you have to save this file. Okay, simply save this file. Your file is saved. You can quickly verify from here also. This is the pod.yaml file, and make sure it is a YAML file only. Okay, so this is the YAML file. It is created. Type is equal to, simply if I try to open, this is the file created. It contains all the data. Okay, once you've done this, so simply close this. And in the CMD, we are already present inside that location in the DevOps training inside this workspace, because this is the workspace where we created this pod.yml file. And see here the pod.yml file is visible also. Okay, and let's clear all these things again. CLS basically. Now if I'll say currently, is any pods running currently? So kubectl get pods. So see currently there is no pods running. Okay, I created the file with the name pod.yml. I have to simply say kubectl, there is a file. Okay, kubectl, there is a file with the name pod.yml. So that's why -f pod.yml. Okay, kubectl, there is a file with the name pod.yml. What you have to do is you have to simply apply that file. Whatever the content is written inside that file, that you have to apply. Once you hit this command kubectl, you have to apply -f for file name, and file name is pod.yml. And we are running this command inside this directory cloud19 8 Why? Because inside this only pod.yml file we created. Simply I will press enter. Automatically you will see that they are going to read this file. In this file, we already written this type of the information that pod should be created with the name mypod. Container name should be myc1. Image they have to use this one. This will be the labels assigned to this. Okay, and simply hit this command. See, by reading automatically, they got to know that pod name you given as mypod. That's why they are saying a pod with the name mypod created. If I say kubectl, can you show me the pod list? Get pods. You see, they are saying one pod with the name mypod is running. Okay, 13 seconds. If I again clear this all, and I'll say kubectl, there is a pod running. What you have to do is you have to describe the pod, and pod name is mypod. If I hit this, so this time you will see that whatever the changes I want to do, everything is done. Pod name is still mypod, but see in the label section, whatever the things I written, like country is equal to IN, honor is equal to Kisan, team is equal to DevOps. Okay, exact same thing, whatever we written here. Team is equal to DevOps, country is IN, honor is Kisan. Everything is updated here. That means it is working perfectly fine. Similarly, here we written container name as myc1. Previously, container name was coming as same as our pod name. MyPod here also, and here also it was mypod. Now container name is coming from myc1. Why myc1? Because I given the name as myc1. So whatever the custom thing you want to do, everything can be updated with the help of this type of thing. Even image name, it is clearly showing that this is the image name. Okay. So is this application is clear to you? How I applied? See, file syntax, don't worry about it. Okay. Syntax, you can always take the reference from the Google or basically the official documentation. Even the Kubernetes have their certification exam, in which also they will give you the access of the official documentation, because nobody is asking you to remember entire concept. Okay. Once you will start to practice, you'll automatically get to know what to write where. Just you have to focus the concept here. Okay. Now, similarly, take an example. We already created this pod, everything. So simply do CLS. If I want to delete this pod, okay. So there is two ways to delete the pod. Okay. Kubectl get pods. If I want to delete this pod, can you tell me again the command? Just a few minutes ago, I saw how to delete the pod, right? Anybody want to tell? To delete the pod? Yeah, kubectl delete pod and pod. So one way is that whatever the command you written, or other way is you'll simply say kubectl. There is a file person. Okay. Let me write like this. Kubectl. There is a file present with the name pod.yml. What you have to do is, this file was already applied, right? Now you have to simply delete that file. That's all. So this is not going to delete the file. This is going to delete the resources that is created by that file. Okay. So with the help of this file, we created a resource called pod. So this pod is going to be deleted. Simply press enter. See, they are saying pod with the name my pod is getting deleted. And if I also kubectl get pod is deleted. Again, somebody want to apply this pod. So you don't have to write this file again now, right? You have to simply come here. You have to hit this command kubectl. I want to apply this file pod.yml. Again, you will hit it enter. Automatically, you will see that a pod is created. See, pod is created. Again, if somebody want to delete it, simply they will say, I want to delete this file. Okay, and this pod is going to be deleted. Okay, so now I think pod is clear to all of you. Now, similarly, let's see how to create the deployment. Again, to create the deployment, come here in the CMD itself. Okay, this is our location. I will simply say notepad. I want to open a file with the name of deployment.yml. Okay, you can always create the file with like this only, notepad deployment.yml. So they are directly going to create with this extension only, because manually, if we are going to create it here from here, if you try to save, maybe they will add .txt extension at last. That is not going to work. Okay, so I will prefer you that try to create like this way, and your notepad is created. Simply click on yes. Okay, and simply close this one. That's all. So your deployment file is created. Now, if I come here, you'll see the deployment.yml file is visible here in the Notepad 2+. Currently, it is empty file. So again, I will come here in the Google and I will search that is anything related to deployment.yml, search it in the Google. So they are showing that this is the documentation. Simply refer to this. Again, they are providing you this type of the file. Okay, simply copy this entire file. Again, we're going to see we are going to create everything. And let me paste it. Okay, but before applying it this deployment, let's first try to create the deployment with the help of the command again. Okay, so if I want to create a deployment, I have to simply hit the command like this, kubectl. Can you create a deployment? Create a deployment with the name myD, something like this. And image you have to use this one. So this was the command we were using. If I'll say kubectl, can you show me the deployment? Either you can write deployment or either you can write deploy. Both are same. So see, this deployment is created. This deployment is going to create a pod. So if you'll see kubectl get pod, so you'll see that one pod will be Azure. And this pod is created by this deployment. Okay. Similarly, if I'll say kubectl, can you describe me about the details, okay, of the deployment? And deployment name is myD. So see, they are describing this. So they are saying your deployment name is myD. Okay. Labels again, they are only giving this label only. App is equal to myD. There is something related to selector, that also they are writing app is equal to myD automatically. And number of replicas, that how many pods I want to run. Automatically, they are taking it as one only. But take an example, I want to create a deployment, and in which in the starting itself, I want to run with 5 replicas, right? So this type of the command, whenever we are writing kubectl create deployment, we don't have any option to mention it here. Okay. So like this way, we are going to go with the file way where we can edit all this information directly. Okay. How? So again, simply delete this deployment. To delete this deployment, you have to hit the command kubectl. You have to delete deployment, and deployment name was mighty. That's all. This is going to be deleted. Now again, come to this file. We already copied this content. Okay. And let's again edit. API version, they are automatically saying app/v1. We are going to create the deployment. And take an example, I want to create the deployment name as my deploy, something like this. Okay. Again, they are talking about the labels. So I don't want to give this labels. I want to give something labels like, take an example, app is equal to web, team is equal to DevOps, something like this. And country is something like this. I given 3 labels like that. Again, in the specification section, this time I have to mention the specification for what? Deployment specification. So in the deployment, I'm specifying the specification that in the starting, you have to create replicas is equal to 3. But whenever we are creating using the command, by default, they are using the replicas as 1 only, right? But now I can edit if I want that replicas is equal to 4. So I'll do 4. So automatically when I will hit this file, okay, so they are going to launch 4 pod rather than launching only 1 pod. Okay. Again, they are talking about the selector. So what is the selector here? So let me tell you this part about letters. Okay. So just ignore this selector for now. And now again come. This is the template section. So we have to say to the deployment that I'm going to give you a deploy template. Okay. Because you have to launch a pod, you have to launch inside that pod, you have to launch a container. So container is always going to require a image everything, right? So I'm going to give you a template. And template, inside that template, I am giving you whatever the information that you have to provide it to the pod, because this deployment is going to create the pod also, right? So in the metadata, I am saying that there will be a label, okay, that I want to give to my pod or something. And take an example label, I am going to give it something like web pod, something like this. Okay, web pod. So this label app is equal to web pod, that is going to assign to whom? It is going to assign to the pod, which is going to be created with the help of this deployment. Okay. So this label is just like a tag when you check in on some airport. Okay. So they add some tag to your luggage, right? So with the help of that tag only, your luggage reach to the destination directly. Because take an example, you are having the connecting flight, okay, but you don't get the luggage in between. You get the luggage directly on the destination itself. How? With the help of the tag, because tag know that I have to reach to this destination location directly. So in between, whenever you are switching from one flight to other flight, you don't have to worry about the luggage. Okay. So same thing here. I'm giving the label is equal to web pod something, and that will be assigned to our pod. And inside pod, there will be a container going to create, right? So here also I'm going to give my container name something like my C1, something like this, or you can give whatever container name you want to give. And image, we are not going to use this image. We are using our own image, and that image name was this one. So, and our website was also running on port 80, so let it be there. Okay, so if you'll try to read it from starting again, so we are creating a deployment. Deployment name is the my deploy, and it has this many labels, and these labels are assigned to the deployment, not to the pods. Okay. Then we are saying that you have to launch 4 replicas of what? Pod. Okay. So 4 pod is going to launch, but how you launch the pod, what image pod is going to use. So that information I am providing you inside this template. Okay. And inside this template, I am saying that you have to create a container with this name, with this image. Okay. Accessible with this port. Okay. And you have to assign this label to our pod. And whatever the label you are assigning to your pod, that exact same thing we have to write it here also with pod. Because how our deployment is going to know that 4 replicas or 4 pod is running. So they will match, is there 4 label of app is equal to web pod is there or not. If they will find that yes, 4 label with the name app is equal to web pod is present, then only this deployment is get to know that yes, our 4 pod is running perfectly fine. And in the midnight or something, maybe that pod got deleted or something. So automatically this deployment will get to know that only 3 labels app is equal to web pod is visible. That means one pod got deleted. So automatically they will launch one more. So I will show you about this. So this is the deployment. Simply save this. If everything is correct, so if you come here and you will hit this command kubectl, I want to apply a file and file name is deployment.yml. So see, automatically they got to know that our deployment name is my-deploy. They created it. If I say kubectl, can you give me the information about deployment? So they are saying that you talked about the 4 replicas. Currently 1 replicas is ready. Okay, and if I do kubectl get pods also, so this deployment automatically created the pod also. And see, there are 4 pods running. Why? Because replicas is equal to 4 I give. Okay. Now, if you'll try to describe that kubectl, can you describe about the deployment? And deployment name was my-deploy. So they're providing us some information. What are the information they are providing? The name is my-deploy. Whatever the label you assign, that is written here. Okay. We talked about 4 replicas. That's right. Again, selector we given as app is equal to web pod. Okay. Why app is equal to web pod? So if you'll come to this dashboard, okay, and you'll try to visualize the thing from here. So see, this is my-deploy. In this my-deploy, we have this many labels. Okay. If you'll come to this pod, what is the label assigned to the pod? App is equal to web pod, right? And that's why in the deployment section, we given the selector as, if we again click here and you'll come here. What is the selector here I written? Let me check where that's, yeah, selected is app is equal to web pod. So this deployment have to find that how many pods are running with the selector app is equal to web pod. So they are saying that, okay, 4 is running. And is the 4 is the actual replica number also? So yes, 4 is the replica number. That's why they know that all the 4 pods are running. But if somehow this pod is getting deleted or something, so how deployment is going to know that only 3 pod is running? So simply delete this. Okay. So you'll see that now deployment will think, okay, that only 3 pod is running. App is equal to web pod. Only 3 times is visible. That's why they created one more pod with the label app is equal to web pod. Like this way, deployment makes sure that counting should be always 4. So is this okay now? Able to understand how deployment is going to remember that 4 pod is running with the help of this label. And they are matching this label with the help of the selector. Is this clear? Okay. So this is the way how we are going to create. Similarly, this is the deployment I shown you. There is one more thing I'm going to show you after this pod. This deployment I shown you how to create it. Okay, like this type of the things. So you can follow this also. You can simply copy paste it from here and you can create it. Okay. And at last, after deployment is created, the last thing we were doing yesterday was to create a service, right? So if you remember how we were creating the service yesterday, when once our deployment is ready, okay, and if I want to expose our service, we have to simply say kubectl. What we have to do is you have to expose, okay, you have to expose the deployment, okay, and deployment name was my-deploy. And you have to expose what? You have to expose the port is equal to 80 that we are mentioning. And then we are saying type. Okay, so you have to write type is equal to node port. Once I press enter, automatically you're going to see that a service is going to create with the name my-deploy. If I'll say kubectl, can you give me the list of services? So automatically my-deploy is coming. But this my-deploy is the name of our deployment, right? But automatically, whenever we are creating this, okay. So whenever I'm creating this, so directly they are taking the name from the deployment one. But if I want to give some different name to my service, right? I cannot give with the help of this type of the command. And automatically you are seeing that 30936 automatically. This port is coming directly by default, something random, right? If I want that there should be only 30,001 port is going to open, right? I don't want to access our website on this port. I want to access it on 30,002 or 30,003, something like this. So we cannot do with this type of the command. Okay, so for that way, we have to go with again with the YAML file. So simply delete this kubectl. I want to delete service. Okay, service you can give it in the shortcut from SVC also. And my service name was my deploy. So I'm just writing here my deploy. I'm going to delete. And now once this is deleted, again if I do kubectl get services, so only one service is running, that is Kubernetes. I want to create this service not with this help of command. I want to create it with the help of the file. I'll simply come here and we'll search it on again on the Google. That do you have anything related to the services? So this is the services. Services just like a load balancer. How you are configuring the load balancer in the AWS exact same way. Okay. So if I'm coming here, so come down, okay, and try to find it something related to the node port, okay, because we are going to talk about the node port only. So if you'll come down, keep coming down. See here, type is equal to node port is there. If you try to read this about documentation, they are saying whenever you are selecting the type is equal to node ports, okay, so automatically your port is going to be assigned between this range 30,000 to 32,767. And that's why when I expose the service, okay, if you remember, it was exposing to 30,936. 30,936 is coming between this range 30,000 to 32,767. And that's why they were giving any random. Okay. So here they are saying that if you want to create this type of the node port, you have to simply copy this YAML file. So simply copy this and again come here and write it here notepad. I want to create a file with the name service.yaml. Again, create this, a file will create it. Simply save this file and close this. Again, open that file from the notepad++ like this way, service.yaml. And here just paste the content. So this is the file. Whatever the extra thing is there, let me remove it, everything here from here. And let's delete this two line also. So by default, it is going to take the range between 30,000 to 30,767. So whatever the value you are going to write it here, okay, that you have to make sure it should be in between this range, 30,000 to 32,767. Okay. So this is the person who created the Kubernetes. They only given this value. Now I'm going to create a service and take example, my service name, I'm going to give it as my web service, something like this. Or you can say as my web load balancer also, whatever the name you want to give. I'm giving the name as my web SVC. Type is going to be the node port only. Okay. Selector, they are asking that this is the load balancer, something like this, right? So if somebody is going to come to my URL where I have to transfer the traffic, so definitely this load balancer is going to transfer the traffic to the pod, right? So how this service is going to know that which pod I have to transfer the traffic? So if you remember, we added some labels to our pod. What was the label we assigned to our pod? App is equal to web pod, right? So exact same thing we have to write it in the selector section here also. App is equal to web pod. That means now if somebody is going to come to the URL of this load balancer or this service, they are going to transfer the traffic to the pod which have this label, app is equal to web pod. And we already created in our deployment that whatever the pod is going to be launched, it will have the label app is equal to web pod. Okay. So this is done. And our website is running on the port 80. That's why I written port 80. And this port 80 basically denotes about our minikube port. So let it be same only. And this node port, you can take any value between 30,000 to 32,767. So take an example. I'm going to start on the 30,001 port. Okay. And simply save this file and save this. So your service file is saved. Now, once this is saved, so you have to simply say kubectl, I want to apply a file, and that file name is service.yml. Automatically, a service is going to create with the name my web SVC. This time it is not going to give name something like my deploy or something. Okay, it is going to give the name as whatever the name I given, my web SVC. And also this port 30,936, it is not going to come any random value. It is coming the value whatever I given 30,001. Okay. Now if somebody is going to ask that Minikube, there is a service running. Okay, Minikube, there is a service running. Service name is MyWeb SVC. What is the name here? SVC. You have to tell me the URL for this. How I can access the website. So they are saying that this is the URL for you. If you want to access your website, you can go to this URL. Simply copy this, come here, paste it in the browser, and you'll press enter. So see, the website is coming. But how this service is able to transfer our traffic to that particular machine only? So if you remember, whenever we created this service, whenever I created this service, I mentioned that somebody is coming to this service, we have to forward this traffic to this selector. App is equal to web pod. Okay, and currently the pod are running. There are 4 pods running, right? With app is equal to web pod. That's why they are transferring the traffic to these machines, right? Currently it is showing 17.0.5. If I'll come here quickly and you will see that definitely one of the pod will have the IP 0.5. So let's check. This is the 0.2. This one is 0.5. See, so they are transferring the traffic currently to this machine. Okay. Now take an example. If somebody is going to delete this all pods, take an example. I'm saying scale, and I'm going to scale to 0, something like this. So see, all the pod is going to be terminated. That means currently there is no pod running because I said to the deployment that you have to run 0 pod. That means there is no pod should be running for now. So now if somebody will hit this URL, they are not going to see the website. Why? Because there is no pod running with this label app is equal to web pod. And that's why after some time you're going to see this page is going to fail. So see, it is currently loading, but it is not loading the data or something. And in a few fraction of second, it is going to fail at last. See, it failed. Now again, somebody is coming here that I got to know that our services is transferring the traffic to basically the pod with this label, and currently there is no pod running with that label. Okay, that's why it is not able to show the website. I'll again simply come to the deployment. I'll click on this box, click on scale, and take an example. We are increasing the replicas to 5. Okay, so 5 pod is going to run. And again, how you can run it with the help of the command, that also they are saying. You have to simply hit the command kubectl scale, give the deployment name mydeploy, and give the replicas is equal to 5. Automatically, they will scale to 5 replicas. Scale it. So 5 pod is going to be started with the label app is equal to web pod. And once it is going to be started, once it will be green, you'll be able to see the website there. So let it be started first. See, one is running. So if I'll quickly come here and if I'll refresh this page, it is going to transfer the traffic to the 0.7. And if I'll see this first machine, the IP will be definitely 0.2, this one, and this one, let me check, 0.5, which machine is 0.7, it is 0.6, I think this one is 0.7. So say at this machine, they are transferring the traffic. That's why it is showing 0.7. Again, after some time, I'll refresh this page. So maybe it is going to show you some different IP address, like 0.2. That means this time they transfer the traffic to some different ones. And like this way, you are able to achieve. Okay. So is this clear? That service one. Without using this YML file, we are getting any random port here. Like this time we are giving whatever the port I given here. Okay. So simply check this documentation, try to practice with this. Tomorrow is Saturday and Sunday, like that way. Okay, so try to practice this entire document I completed. Okay, so try first with the command. Make sure you are comfortable with the command. If you're done with the practical one time, so hit this command, kubectl delete all -var. Okay, and do one more time. Again, the same mistake, whatever you done from starting. Okay, by creating with the help of the command. Once you are comfortable with command, then only comes to with this type of the file creation. Okay, and just try to don't directly copy paste it from here. How I shown you that directly getting it from the browser like this way, copy it, and then whatever the name you want to change. Like I want to change the name of pod, I want to change the name of image, I want to change the name of container. So I will edit it as per my knowledge. Okay, and then I will try to apply it. So just try to give 1 hour, 2 hour time over this weekend, and you'll be able to get it. Still you will be facing any problem or something, you can ask me in the next class. Is it okay? And watch the recording. If somebody missed some yesterday class or some part of today class, watch the recording. Recording will be provided. Okay. And try to follow this. So will you be able to complete over this weekend? This practical?
Yes, thanks.
And once your practical is done, and now take an example, you don't want to use the minikube. Simply you will come here and you will hit the command minikube. I want to stop you. So minikube will be stopped. Simply you will say minikube stop. And this minikube is going to be shut down. So that also you can remember. Okay. Because minikube is going to take resources from your laptop itself. And maybe you have less resources. Maybe your laptop will be slow as when minikube will be running. So once your practical is done, simply stop the minikube. That's all. And it will be powered off here like that. So do this up to here, and we'll see other things in the next week. Okay, thanks for listening.